Fine, everyone. So moving ahead from yesterday, where we had seen basics of Selenium, and I told you that how you can configure the Selenium jar files in Eclipse. Now, in order to use these jar files, you need to know the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, and that's what we are going to do today. We are going to study concepts of oops and all. We'll also see constructors. Okay, and as we proceed we will gradually move into Selenium, and by the end of the course, as I told you yesterday, we will be doing a framework which is an end-to-end project. Okay, so let us start with the concepts of object oriented programming. Right, so I'll just create a new file, new Java project. You can create a Java project. All right, and I will be calling that Java project as day 2. Fine. Okay, hold on. Let it set up. So now, in order to work with Selenium, you need to know object-oriented programming, right? That is very much important and very mandatory, right? So to start with the concept of object-oriented programming, what I'll do is that I will take up a very simple example, right? Let us simply make a new class. Class means a Java file known as phone. Okay, now what are the properties of a phone? I did not keep the main function in it, right? Yes, guys, there is no need of camera in the training. You can switch off your cameras. Okay, there is no need of camera in this training, right? So out here you have got, say, string, the name of the phone. Okay, in price of the phone. So this class has got no main function. Okay, it's got two properties, the name and price of the phone. These are two properties of a phone. Okay, yesterday we had made main function in the class. Right now in this class I have not made a main function. Okay, and I will create a new class out here and call it test phone. Right, I'll create a class known as test phone, and I will keep the main function inside it. Okay, now what I will do is that in test phone I will create object of phone class. Many of you must be knowing this, but still I am teaching you, right? Okay, because many people are from not a very good background in Java. All right, so how do you create an object of the phone class? You write like this: new phone. I've created the object of the phone class. Okay, but practically what will happen out here? If I'm writing like this, new phone, then practically what is happening? Okay, look, the thing is, practically in the memory, an object of the phone class is created. Okay, that has got two properties inside it, name and price. Alright, I can create as many phone class objects as I want. I can create another phone class object. I can create the third phone class object. So what happens is that in the memory you will have three objects created. Okay, there will be three objects in the memory. Each object will have a name and a price. A name and a price. Okay, but what is the use of creating the object? Fine, I agree, every object has a name and price. Look, these objects you cannot access them. Okay, right, you cannot access these objects. To access these objects you need to have object reference. There is something known as object and there is something known as object reference. Both of them are different. Okay, basically you need to write like this, that is phone P1 say equals to new phone. Okay, phone P2 equals to new phone. Phone P3 equals to new phone. So P1, P2 and P3, all three of them, sorry, all three of them, P1, P2 and P3, all three of them are object references. Okay, what do you mean by object references? Object references are some things which point towards the object. Okay, right? If I show you in form of a diagram, then P1 object will point towards this, and sorry, P1 reference, P2 reference and then P3. Okay, right. So out here these are three objects and these are three object references P1, P2 and P3. Right. With P1, P2 and P3 you can change the state of the objects. Alright. So what do you mean by that? By saying that I can say, hold on, P1 dot, if I write, I'll get the option name. P1 dot name is say phone A. Okay. P2 dot name, sorry, I can write like this, P1 dot price as well is 100. So in the memory, the name and price for the object to which P1 is pointing will become, okay, A and 100. The price will be 100. Okay, right. So out here we will initiate every object like this. Okay, you can write P2 dot name is B, P2 dot price is 200. Okay, similarly P3 dot name is C and P3 dot price is 300. Okay, so what happens is that I will use a paint over here. In the memory, you will have three objects, right? P1 is pointing towards the first one, P2 is pointing towards second one, and P3 is pointing towards third one. Okay, right. And you will have the properties name and price for every phone. I'm just drawing it again over here. Right. So this was my phone A, then this was my phone B, and this was my phone C, and each phone had a different price. Okay. Now the advantage of this is that there is just one class. Okay. There is just one class, right, which is having the name and price properties. Okay, which is having the name and price properties. Okay, so the thing is, you create the object of that class out here, hold on, I'll show you. I have created the object of this class and there is just one class phone. Okay, out here, guys, give me 1 minute, just a minute. Resume. So fine, there are few questions being asked out here. Okay, let me answer the questions. The the first question is out here in the chat. Can't we create the phone class properties within the same class with objects? You can create over there, Adarsh. Okay, you have this question. Can't we create the phone class properties within the same class? Like that means can't I create the objects of the phone class within the phone class? I can do that. Okay, I can keep a main function in the phone class as well, and I can create the object in the phone class as well. But you can generally we do it outside the class. That is why I took up like this. Okay, right. And there is another question being asked for creating properties. It need to be under the main. We don't have main in the phone class. No, for creating these variables, you don't need a main function. You can just declare them over here. You don't need the main function. You cannot execute the phone.java. You cannot run it as a Java application because it's got no main function. But it's a concrete class. It's having two properties. Right. And I have created three objects of my phone class out here. Okay. Right. So out here P1 is pointing towards the first object, P2 to the second object and P3 to the third object. Now if I write over here P1.name system.out.println P1.name P2.name and P3.name. Okay, and if I run this program, so you will see in the console output A, B and C will be printed because obviously the names of P1, P2 and P3 will be there. Okay, right. So yes, Vamsi, you can do that. We need to extend class in order to use another. No, I am not talking about extension over here, Ramya. Okay, I am not talking about extension. I am not going into inheritance. I am simply talking about a simple scenario where I have a phone class and I have got two properties in the phone class, and in the test phone class I have created the object of the phone class, and from the object I have created the I've initialized the properties. Okay, right? I have not talked about anything, anything advanced over here, not into inheritance. Right, right. Yes, the syntax of new is the identification for creating the object. Now object and object references, they are different. Now over here if I write P1 equals to P3, now what does this mean? Okay, right. So yes, without main function here you cannot execute the Java program. You have to have the main function to start with. Okay, so P1 equals to P3. I have written this over here. What does this mean? This means that practically now P1 will be removed from this location and P1 will start pointing to the location where P3 is pointing. So P1 and P3 will point towards the same location. Vamsi, I'll tell you, I have not taught about packages right now to people, so later on I will tell you. Okay. So out here P1 and P3 are pointing towards the same object. Okay, so both of them can access the object. If I write over here the three lines again, okay, right, I'll just print something blank first. This will print a blank line. Okay, then I print P1 and P2 and P3 name again, and if I run it, see that P1 and P3 both print C. So object references, they can be moved from one object to another object in the memory. Don't think that if I have pointed P1 to one object, it will keep on pointing towards that. You can make it move towards something else as well. And you can change the state. If I write P1 dot name is Z now, okay, and if I print the names again, okay, what will it print? Can anybody tell me? What will this print if I make P1 dot name as Z? ZBC. Okay. Now P1 is pointing towards, yeah. P1 is pointing towards this object. P1 change, yeah. P1 change the name to Z. So any one of these, they can alter the state of the object. So it will print Z for both of them. Okay. If I run this program, it will print ZVZ because both of them can alter the state, and any one of them who alters the state, the second one will get the latest value or the latest state of the object. Okay, so P1, P2, P3 are just object references. They can move from one object to another. Inside the object, we have the properties. Okay, this class looks like a simple class, but I can create 1000 different objects of this class and initiate 1000 objects to different values. Okay, right. Vamsi, I'm coming over to that. What is the practicality of this thing? You will see in Selenium. You will see that in Selenium. When I teach you Selenium, you'll see that. Okay, right. Now, the question being asked is how can I move P1 back to the original object? In this case, you cannot do that because you have lost the contact with the original object. This original object will eventually be destroyed from the memory. This object P1 cannot be moved back because there is no other reference pointing towards it. Okay, you should have some backup or something. You never had that. Okay, right. So this is very starting, and this is the very basics of object-oriented programming. Fine. Okay. So if you write P3 equals to P1 over here, this is the question, what will happen? In this case, P1 will remain here, but P3 would have been removed from here and P3 would have been pointing towards this. Okay, it would have been the opposite way. If I run this, this would have printed ABA because P3 would be pointing towards P1. Pretty logical, right? Okay, now moving ahead. What we will do is we will come over to phone class. Now technically these variables are known as non-static global variables. This is also technically known as non-static global variable. Okay, right? Yeah, Amol, you can do that. That is possible. Right? right? Do one thing: when you go back after the class, you will be having a lot of questions. Just try to make this program, make it, and try to fiddle around with it. You will yourself have your doubts cleared off. Okay, right? Now this is known as a non-static global variable. This is also known as a non-static global variable. Suppose there is a variable like, say, string or int batteries. Okay, so out here we would be initializing the object. We would be writing p1 dot batteries equals to 1. Then p2 dot batteries equals to 1. Then p3 dot batteries equals to 1 again. Every phone has got one battery, but it doesn't make sense. It's a little weird thing that we know that every phone has a battery whose the variable value for every phone is going to be 1. For every object, you are repeating the same thing. Okay, you are repeating the same thing. Sharda, I'm coming over to non-static and static. Okay, I'm coming over to that. You are repeating battery equals to 1, battery equals to 1, battery equals to 1 in every object. So what we do is that to avoid this, because we know that every phone might have a different name, might have a different price, but the battery will be same for every phone, number of batteries. So we go and make this variable as static. Okay. By making this static, what happens is that it is removed from the object. Okay. It gets removed from the object and it goes and settles at somewhere a common location in the memory, right? Right, and all the objects can access the battery from the common location by making it static. Static things, they are not the part of the object. If you look your test phone now, you will have a yellow line below batteries. It's a warning sign. It means that it is not the part of the object, so don't try to access it with the object reference. You are trying to access it with P1 or P2 or P3, although it is somewhere at a different location. So we don't access the static members like this. Static variables can be directly accessed with the class. I can write over here phone dot batteries equals to 1. Directly with the name of the class, if you write dot, you will get the static variables. Okay, you can access them without creating the object of the class. You can access them. Okay, right? Without creating the object of the phone class, you can access the static members. Okay, and they will not be the part of the object. Non-static properties you have to access with the help of objects. Name and price will always be accessible with the object. This batteries you can access directly with the name of the class. And when I write over here phone.battery is 1, it becomes same for all the objects. Okay, I hope you understood this, right? So this is the major difference between static and non-static. Static is not the part of the object, it can be accessed directly with the class. Non-static is the part of the object. Okay, Similarly, we have got static and non-static functions. For example, if I make a function like public void print name, okay, right? So what this will do, this is supposed to print the name of the phone. In this, I will just write, say, name is the name of the phone. So this is known as a non-static function. Okay, the non-static function out here uh, can be accessed with the object reference. You can write over here p1 dot print name, p2 dot print name, okay, p3 dot print name. So what happens is that when you call the print name function, print name is non-static. Print name will be there inside every object. So when p1 calls the print name, it will print the name of p1, then p2, and then p3. So if I run this, it's the concept is same. Okay, the concept is same. Non-static will be the part of the object, and similarly we can have some static functions like public void print batteries. Okay, so I'll make it static because all the phones have same batteries, so I can print okay, right. So out here when you run this code, see that it is okay. I need to call it like this. I need to write phone dot print battery. So print battery is a static function. It can be called directly with the name of the class. Okay, right. So when you run this code, prints total 1. That means there are 1 batteries, because this function can be directly called with the name of the class. That's it. Okay, right. Right. Okay, there's a question being asked. There is a question being asked. Phone class is non-static. Look, I am not talking about a class being static or non-static. Okay, right. I am not talking about a class being static or a class being non-static. I am talking about the variables inside the class. So don't think about the class being static or non-static. Okay, it's not like that non-static can't access static. This is the line on which I am coming over to right now. Okay, I am coming over to this line right now. Others, void is a return type of the function. Look, that's what I told you last time, that if you don't know basics like what a function is, what a for loop is, what statements are, okay, you can go to the section to the website and you can just watch the training module too, because I am assuming you have a little programming background over here, little, very basic, not from object oriented programming, but a very basic. Okay, you can watch this module too. Right, right. So out here, uh, just a minute. It is not recommended, Anirudh. We can do that, but it is not recommended. Okay. Now, there is a general rule which will not be used in Selenium that much, but you should be knowing about it. Okay. If I write over here, battery is equals to 100, and if I write over here, price equals to 200. Look, this is a non-static function. This is a non-static function. Inside it, what I have done, I have accessed the non-static variable name and the static variable batteries. I can do that. But in a static variable or in a static function, I cannot access non-static. Static cannot access non-static. This is very basic and very logical. It is something like that non-static is residing over here at a separate location in the memory. Okay, right. And inside it, I am trying to access the name. Now, which name I am trying to access? Which object's name I am trying to access? Out here at a common location, this is a static location. This is not the part of any object. Okay, so that is why we cannot access non-static inside a static. I hope you understood my point. Okay, right? But in Selenium, you will not come across many situations like this, but you should be knowing about it, because if you come across it, then you try to figure it out that fine, I have written the code correctly, but why is it giving me error on this line? Okay, right? So this is about the basics of objects, the basics of object oriented programming. And in Selenium also, we create objects. We create objects of classes, right? For example, I'll just include the jar files of Selenium in this project. Okay, and right now I am not including the jar files of Selenium 3. Okay, let me include Selenium 3. I'll show you. It's not a big deal, because you know Selenium 3 is unstable. I know that. Right, I'll just create a new class known as Selenium Basics with the main function. Right, now in Selenium we have a class known as, say, Chrome driver. I'll talk about Chrome. Okay, we have a class known as Chrome driver. You create the object of this class. Look, there is a shortcut in Eclipse. If I just write chr, okay, and hit Control space bar of the keyboard, it will give me all the classes, the names of the classes starting with the letter chr. Control space bar. Okay, so I don't need to write everything. Sometimes you make a spelling mistake as well. You create the object of Chrome driver. You'll have to import the Chrome driver class. This Chrome driver class is present in one of the jar files of Selenium. Okay, right. So out here, if I create the object of Chrome driver, then Chrome will start working. If I run it, all of you will get this error, illegal state object. Okay, right. So hold on, because just I'll come over to all the drivers. I'll come over to all the drivers. Okay. So right now I is unstable with Selenium. I'll also tell you this thing. It gives issues, and it gives a lot of issues. Right? Sometimes, at times it gives issues, but it depends on various configurations you have. Right? So out here you will have the illegal state exception. For removing this, you have to go to the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org. You have to go here and hold on. Go to the download section, and you need to download an exe for I. Sorry, for Chrome. This is the Chrome driver, Google Chrome driver exe. You need to click over here, and you need to click here. Look, at times because I gives you an issue and there is no solution for that. I can tell you. There are few challenges in I which you cannot overcome. And the latest Selenium version supports I11. They say that, but it's actually not supporting it. Okay. So if you go to latest release Chrome driver 2.27, and over here you can download this Chrome driver for 32-bit zip. Okay, this file. If you have a 64-bit machine, still you can download that, and for Windows, for Linux or Mac, you can download these. You have to download this, and in my PC I have kept it over here, Chrome driver.exe. You have to download this exe, and you have to write this line, that is system.set_property webdriver.chrome.driver to the path of exe file. In my PC it is in F drive drivers, sorry, chrome driver.exe. Look, basically you have to give the path of the exe file for Chrome driver. Okay, right. Right. So out here, if I run this now, you see that a Chrome browser has opened. This is a blank Chrome browser. Right. So this line, system is a class in Java. It's got various static things inside it. So set property is one of the static functions. So I'm calling the system dot set property this one. Okay. Similarly, I cannot show you for Firefox because I have an older version of Firefox with me right now. Okay. Similarly, you can do with I as well. You can write over here inter. If I just write INTER, okay, you will get the Internet Explorer driver. This is the driver for I. Okay, you can create the object of Internet Explorer driver. But for I also, you have to download an exe file from the Selenium website. You have to go to the website for Selenium and over here go to the download section. And for your 32-bit I or 64-bit I, it is the version of your I, not the version of your PC. Okay, you can download the exe from here. Internet Explorer driver server, and in my PC I have it over here. Okay, right? So all you need to do is that you need to write a line system dot set property WebDriver dot I dot driver to the value of the exe. Make sure you give the correct path. Okay, and I will tell you about the compatibility of the versions. I'll tell you. Okay, I will tell you which version to use when. In few days you will come to know yourself. Right now, out here, if I run this, my IE will open up. Right, you see that? I'm using i8 right now. Okay, it will work, but at times it doesn't work. There are few issues with I. You have to make sure that the zoom level in I is first of all set to 100%. Okay, right? What do you mean by zoom level in I? If I open up I, then the way we are trying to open the browsers right now. Selenium is a browser automation testing tool. Okay, later on with these drivers, we will be automating, we will be clicking on the links, and we'll be reading text and all everything with these driver classes on the browsers. Okay, right? So out here, if you go to view zoom, make sure it is at 100%. Okay, right? Secondly, in I, if you go to tools options and if you go to security, you will have 4 zones. Make sure this leveler is at the same location for all the 4 zones. If it, you know, if it doesn't, if it doesn't actually work, right? If it doesn't actually work, right? So now, I hope you understood the point. Srikanth, you can send me an email. I am not able to get your question actually. You can send me an email. Because there is no other way, you have to have the admin rights. There is no other way for this. Since past 10 years, I am facing this question that in a corporate machine or in a company, we don't have any idea to do this or this. How do we manage this? There are workarounds, but they don't work. You need to have those admin rights to work with IE. Look, Microsoft itself has made these restrictions. They make IE very secure. They try to make IE very secure, although it isn't. Right? So that is the thing. Right? So now, moving ahead, there is one more driver, Firefox driver, and there are many other drivers. Remote WebDriver is used for GRID. We'll see all those drivers. We'll see the documentation of Selenium tomorrow. Okay. Today I will stop here. Okay. I have not got into constructor.